The summons from the stars. John Carter was just an ordinary man. He worked as a mechanic in a small garage on the edge of the city. His life was quiet, maybe even boring. Every day was the same. Fix cars, drink coffee, go home, sleep. He had no big dreams, no big plans. And he never believed in aliens or space adventures, but everything changed one night. It was past midnight. John had just finished watching an old sci-fi movie and was getting ready for bed. The street outside was silent. His room was dark except for the soft blue light from his computer screen. Suddenly, the lights began to flicker. His computer shut off on its own. Then a strange humming sound filled the room. John looked around, confused. "What the hell?" he whispered. The sound grew louder. The air became heavy. And then, a bright circle of light appeared on the floor in front of him. It looked like a portal from the movies. Before John could move, the light pulled him in. His body rose off the ground. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The room vanished. Everything went black. When John opened his eyes, he was no longer in his room. He stood inside a huge metallic hall. The walls were smooth and glowing with blue lines. Tall alien creatures stood around him. Some had 4 arms, others had eyes that glowed red. There were floating robots recording everything. The air smelled like metal and smoke. At the center of the room was a giant platform, and above it floated a spinning symbol. A star surrounded by 12 rings. A deep robotic voice echoed from above. "Earth citizen John Carter, you have been summoned to the High Galactic Court." John looked around, completely shocked. "What? Where am I? What is this place?" "You are in the Galactic Court of the Alliance," the voice said. "You have been chosen for a great task." John shook his head. "This must be a dream. I'm just a mechanic. I didn't do anything." An alien creature with silver skin floated closer. He wore golden robes and had no mouth, but still spoke. "John Carter, by the ancient laws of the stars, you have been selected to marry Princess Exelara of the Varelian Empire." John blinked. "Excuse me, marry who?" "Princess Exelara," the alien repeated calmly. "The heir to the most powerful royal family in this galaxy." John laughed nervously. "This is a joke, right? Is this some weird alien TV show?" "This is no joke," said another alien, this one with green scales and glowing eyes. "Your DNA is rare. It holds the origin spark. Only you can form the bond needed for peace between our worlds." John backed away slowly. "No, I'm not doing this. I didn't sign up for anything." Suddenly, a large screen lit up. It showed images of Earth, cities, oceans, people. "Refusal will result in the destruction of Earth," the voice warned. "Your planet's safety now depends on your cooperation." John froze. "You're threatening my planet?" "Not threatening," the voice replied. "Giving you a choice." The light in the room dimmed. All eyes were on him. John's heart raced. This had to be a mistake. He was no hero, no soldier. He fixed cars and paid bills. Now he was being told to marry an alien princess or let Earth be destroyed. It didn't make sense. He looked up at the floating symbol again. I don't even know who this princess is," he said. The silver-skinned alien raised a hand. "You will meet her soon. But know this, you are not here by chance. The galaxy has waited a long time for a human to return." "Return?" John asked. "What do you mean, return?" But before anyone could answer, the symbol above the platform flashed. A beam of blue light struck John, and everything around him began to fade. "Wait!" he shouted, but it was too late. John woke up on a soft bed, but it was not his bed back on Earth. The walls around him were silver, and strange lights blinked on the ceiling. A small round robot floated next to the bed. "Greetings, John Carter," it said in a friendly tone. "You are now aboard the royal ship Stellaris Dawn. Prepare to meet Princess Zelara." John sat up slowly. His hands were shaking. "What the hell is happening to me?" he whispered. And far away in a golden chamber at the front of the ship, Princess Solara stood before a mirror, her sharp eyes glowing. She had just received the message. "The human is awake," she said coldly. "Let the tests begin." The alien princess, and the first test. John Carter stood in silence, staring at the strange robot floating near him. Its voice was polite, but its presence felt anything but friendly. "Prepare to meet Princess Solara," it repeated. Before he could respond, the walls around him shifted. They didn't slide or open. They melted. The room turned into a corridor made of smooth metal, lit by thin lines of purple light. The floor vibrated gently beneath his feet. He stepped forward, cautious, heart pounding. As he walked, the robot hovered beside him like a shadow. "Where am I going?" John asked. "To the royal chamber," the robot said. "The princess awaits." When the doors ahead finally opened, John felt a cold wind rush past him. Inside stood the most alien and terrifying figure he had ever seen. Princess Solara. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with silver-blue skin that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were like twin stars, burning, ancient, and cold. Her hair floated around her like it was underwater. And she wore armor made of something that looked like glass, yet glowed with power. John froze in place. Solara walked slowly toward him, her long cape dragging behind her like a shadow. She circled him once, silently judging. "This is the human?" she said, voice calm but sharp. "John Carter, Earth mechanic," the robot confirmed. Solara tilted her head. "You are small." John frowned. "Well, you're glowing." She didn't smile. "I don't want this," he said quickly. "I didn't ask to be dragged across the galaxy and married off like—" She raised a hand and he went silent, not by fear, but because his throat tightened without reason. He couldn't speak. "You are not here to ask," she said coldly. "You are here to prove." "Prove what?" he managed to whisper. Solara stepped closer until their faces were inches apart. "That you are worthy." Moments later, John stood alone in a large circular room. The walls were dark and a glowing platform rose at the center. The air buzzed with static. A voice echoed around him. This time not Solara's, not the robot's, but something older, deeper. "Initiate first trial. The maze of Verax." Floor panels began to slide. Walls rose. The platform vanished beneath a shifting grid. John found himself in a strange maze, tall metallic walls, blinking lights, dead silence. "What is this? A puzzle?" he said out loud. But then came a growl, low, beastly. Something was in there with him. He moved forward carefully, trying to stay calm. Around every corner he expected to see a way out, but all he found were strange alien markings and shadows. Then he heard it again. A growl, closer now. John picked up a loose metal pipe from the floor. Not much of a weapon, but it made him feel a little less helpless. He turned another corner, and there it was, a creature, 8 feet tall, covered in armored scales. Its eyes glowed red. It had claws like swords and teeth made for one thing: killing. It roared and charged. John ran. He didn't think, just moved, turning down corridor after corridor, heart slamming in his chest. The maze twisted and turned like it was alive. No matter where he went, the creature followed. Faster, closer. Finally, he turned a corner and stopped. Dead end. He spun around and the monster was already there. It leapt. John raised the pipe and screamed. A flash of light exploded from his chest. When he opened his eyes, the creature was gone. The walls around him glowed. Symbols he couldn't understand floated in the air. His hands were glowing faintly. The same soft light from the Galactic court. "What was that?" he whispered. "The origin spark," said a voice behind him. He turned. Solara stood there, watching him through a transparent wall. Her arms were crossed, her expression unreadable. "You didn't die," she said flatly. "Thanks for the support," John muttered. She walked around the wall. It shimmered and opened for her. She stood face to face with him again. "You activated the spark," she said. "I don't even know what that is." "It is what makes you dangerous," she said, "and important." John looked down at his hands. The light was fading now, but it had felt alive. "Why me?" he asked. "What is so special about me?" Solara paused, then said, "Because humans were not supposed to exist anymore." John stared at her. "What?" She didn't answer. Instead, she turned and walked away. "Trial 1 complete," the same deep voice announced. "Subject still unstable. Proceeding to Trial 2. Back in her private chamber, Solara stood before a large screen. Images of John in the maze played back in slow motion. His spark activation. The flash. The creature's disappearance. A voice behind her said, "He doesn't even know his own power, and that makes him dangerous," Solara replied. "Should we eliminate him?" Solara didn't answer for a long moment. "No," she said finally. "Not yet." Meanwhile, John sat alone in a quiet room, trying to catch his breath. He looked at his hands again. Whatever had just happened, it wasn't normal. This was no simple marriage. No peace mission. Something deeper was going on. And John Carter was now in the center of it. He didn't know the rules. He didn't know who to trust. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. The human gene's secret. John Carter couldn't sleep. After surviving the alien maze, after the light exploded from his chest, and after seeing the cold look in Princess Solara's eyes, something inside him had changed. He wasn't sure what. Maybe it was fear, maybe confusion, or maybe it was something deeper, older. The ship felt different now. The walls whispered, the lights flickered, and even the silence seemed alive. He sat on the floor of his quarters back against the wall, thinking about the spark. That strange power that had saved him. No one had explained it. No one had told him what he really was. And that scared him, more than the monster in the maze. Somewhere in the ship's core, hidden behind sealed doors, Solara stood with her royal science team. She stared at a large glowing hologram showing John's body, scanned from head to toe. "The spark gene is active," said the lead scientist, a thin alien with insect-like features. Solara narrowed her eyes. "I saw it myself. He lit up the entire trial chamber. But how? The spark hasn't been seen in over 5,000 years. Because we believed it extinct," the scientist replied. "But we were wrong. And not just about the spark." He pressed a control. Another image appeared. This time it showed ancient carvings, humanoid shapes, glowing eyes, planets in chains. "This is from the time before the galactic fall," he said. "Before humans were erased from all records." Solara looked at him sharply. "Erased?" The scientist nodded. "Your Highness, the humans were not just another species. They were the architects, the builders of the first stellar gates. The spark was their gift. And their curse." She stepped closer. "Then why were they wiped out?" He lowered his voice. "Because they couldn't control the spark. And the galaxy feared them." Meanwhile, John wandered into the ship's observation deck. The view was unreal. Stars stretched across the black sky like scattered diamonds. Distant planets glowed with light. Nebulas spun slowly in the void. He'd never seen anything like it. A small robot hovered nearby. This one was different. Older, dusty, its eye blinking softly. "Hey," John said. "You can talk?" "Yes," the robot replied, voice old and gentle. "I am Arc 9. I have served the royal house for 9 centuries. John raised an eyebrow. "That's impressive. Can I ask you something?" "Of course." John looked at the stars again. "What's the spark? Everyone talks about it like it's some kind of magic, but no one tells me anything." The robot paused, then floated closer. "The spark is not magic," it said. "It is memory." John frowned. "Memory?" "Yes. Buried deep in your DNA. It is power. Creation, destruction, knowledge. Humans once controlled it before they vanished. John's stomach turned. So I'm some kind of ancient battery? No. You are more than that, the robot said. You are a key. The galaxy locked a door a long time ago. And now, it is opening again. John didn't like the sound of that. In the Royal War Room, Xalara received a coded message. A red signal. Urgent. A fleet was approaching. Who? She demanded. The answer came with a dark symbol, a spiral of fire. Her eyes widened. The Shard Syndicate, she whispered. They know. Back in his room, John sat quietly when the door hissed open. Xalara entered without warning. He stood quickly. What now? Another monster to fight? She ignored the joke. Come with me, she said. There's something you need to see. He followed her through long halls, up glowing lifts, past guards who didn't blink. They arrived at a chamber that looked like a museum. But it was not for visitors. It was for secrets. Giant stone tablets floated mid-air. Old star maps shimmered on the walls. Strange glowing relics pulsed softly. At the center was a stasis chamber. Inside it, a preserved skeleton. That's human, John said, shocked. Xalara nodded. From over 5,000 years ago. He carried the spark, like you. Why? Show me this now, he asked. Because you need to understand what you are, she said. Your people didn't just vanish. They were erased, hunted, feared. Why? Because they made something too powerful. A weapon called the Soul Engine. It could bend light, destroy planets, even stop time for whole systems. John took a step back. And you think I can use it? I think the galaxy fears. You can, Xalara replied. They stood in silence for a long time. Then she said something he didn't expect. I didn't want this marriage either. John looked at her. Her voice was softer now, almost tired. I was supposed to choose my own path, not be part of some ancient plan, she said. John nodded slowly. So we're both prisoners. She didn't answer, but didn't deny it. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the ship. A voice called out, Warning! Incoming vessels! Unmarked Class 5 warships approaching fast! Xalara's eyes narrowed. They found us. Who? John asked. She turned to him. The ones who want the spark dead. The ones who erased your kind before. Then let's run, he said. She shook her head. We don't run, she said. We fight. As soldiers rushed to battle stations, John stood in the center of chaos, feeling helpless. But somewhere deep inside, the spark burned again. His body felt warm. His heartbeat slowed. Time stretched, and a voice, not outside but inside his mind, whispered, You were never meant to be ordinary. John clenched his fists. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about truth, about history, about survival, and the galaxy had just remembered what it once feared most. A human with the spark. Enemies within. The ship was at war. Flashing red lights pulsed through the long metal corridors. Alarms rang like a heartbeat. Alien crew members ran in every direction, shouting in different languages. The Royal Guard sealed off key chambers. Weapons powered up. Shields buzzed with energy. John Carter stood near the command deck, watching it all unfold like a dream. He had never seen a real spaceship before last week. Now he was trapped on one, about to be attacked by a fleet of unknown enemies and holding a strange power no one could fully explain. They're here for you, said Xalara. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Me? John asked. Why me? Because you're the last human with the spark. They fear what you could become. Then let's hide me, he said quickly. Or send me back to Earth. Xalara shook her head. Too late. They've already found you. Outside, 6 massive warships approached. Their engines left trails of dark red fire. Their design was sharp, brutal, like floating knives. No flags, no signals, only silence. They belonged to the Shard Syndicate, a group so dangerous even the Galactic Court whispered their name. Inside the lead ship, a shadowed figure watched John's face on a glowing screen. "We found him," the figure said. "Begin the extraction." Back on the royal ship, the attack began. Blue energy blasts slammed into the shields. The whole ship shook. John fell to the floor, gripping a nearby console. Soldiers ran past him. One stopped and handed him a small weapon. "Keep that close," the soldier said. "We don't trust everyone on board anymore." John blinked. "What do you mean?" The soldier didn't answer. He just ran. Later that night, the first signs of betrayal began to appear. A storage bay was found destroyed. From the inside, a security system had been hacked, and most disturbing of all, someone had tried to disable the ship's shield generator. "Someone wants us to lose," said General Threx, a tall alien with metal skin and one glowing eye. Solara stood beside him. "Find the traitor." But Threx hesitated. "We may already have." He turned to look at John. John frowned. "What? Me?" "You arrived just before the attacks," Threx said. "You are unknown, your DNA is unstable, and your power is unmeasured." "You think I'm working with them?" John said angrily. "I didn't even know aliens were real until a week ago." "Liars often say such things," Threx replied coldly. Solara raised a hand. "Enough. He stays under my watch." John looked at her, surprised. It was the first time she had defended him. "You trust me now?" he asked quietly. "No," she said. "But if you were an enemy, we'd already be dead." Later, John sat alone in his room. The weapon still lay beside him. He was angry, not just at the general but at himself. Why had he been chosen for any of this? He didn't feel powerful. He felt like a scared man in the wrong place. But deep inside, the spark pulsed again, as if it was calling. Suddenly, the lights in his room flickered. A message appeared on his wall, red letters burning across the metal. "The court lied to you. She lied to you. You are not the key. You are the weapon." John jumped up. "What is this?" Then the wall screen changed again. A video began to play. Secret footage. It showed a meeting. Old, hidden, the Galactic Court, alien leaders, and Princess Solara. "The human's arrival must be controlled," one voice said. "If he activates the engine," said another, "everything we built will fall." Solara spoke last. "Then we guide him. Pretend he is the key. And when the time comes, we end him." John's blood ran cold. He couldn't breathe. Was this real? Had she been lying this whole time? But across the ship, in a dark chamber, a cloaked figure smiled. The video had worked. The trap was set. John stormed into the command center. Solara stood at the console issuing orders. "You lied to me," he shouted. Everyone stopped. "What are you talking about?" she said, narrowing her eyes. "The court, the video. You said I was the key. But really, I'm just a weapon you plan to kill." Solara's expression changed. Not fear, not guilt. Something else. "You saw the message," she said quietly. "So it's true?" John asked. "It's a fake," she replied. "A deep-coded illusion. The Shard Syndicate uses them to divide ships from inside. How do I know you're not lying now?" She stepped closer. "You don't. But I saved your life. Twice. I could have let you die in the maze. I didn't." John's hands were shaking. He didn't know what to believe. Solara looked around at her team. "Lock down all ship data. Someone fed that message to him. Find out who." "You still think there's a traitor?" John asked. She looked at him grimly. "No," she said. "I know there is." That night, as the ship tried to repair damage, the traitor struck again. This time, not with hacking, but with poison. One of the royal guards fell, convulsing. Then, another. Then one of the engineers. The ship's med bay filled with alarms. "Targeted," the doctor said. "Only high-rank crew. Someone is clearing the path." "For what?" John asked. The answer came in a whisper from the dying guard. "Someone is opening the soul engine chamber." John and Solara looked at each other. "We have to stop them," she said. "What's in that chamber?" John asked. She replied with a single word. "The truth." They ran through the lower decks following emergency alerts. The Soul Engine chamber was locked behind ancient seals, seals made long before this ship even existed. But now, someone was trying to break them. As they arrived, they saw it, a figure cloaked in black, standing before the giant vault. John raised his weapon. "Step away." The figure turned slowly and removed the hood. It was General Threx Axelera's eyes widened. "You?" "Yes," Threx said calmly. "I have served the court too long." "I know what the spark really is. It should not return. So you betrayed us," she whispered. "I saved us," he said. "The moment he touches the engine, the galaxy will burn again." John stared at the vault. It hummed, alive. It seemed to pull him closer. "You can't stop this," Threx said. "Maybe not," John said, "but I can try." Then the vault glowed. The final seal cracked, and the Soul Engine awoke. The forbidden weapon, the Soul Engine, was alive. Not like a machine, not like any weapon John Carter had seen in his life, but alive in a way that made his skin crawl and his heart pound. It didn't tick or hum like normal tech. It breathed. It pulsed. It listened. John stood frozen in front of the ancient vault, glowing blue and gold. Alien symbols spun across its surface, rearranging themselves like a puzzle only he could solve. Behind him, General Threx lay on the ground, unconscious after Axelera had stunned him. Betrayal always hurt. Betrayal from a trusted general. It shook the royal crew to their core. But right now, all John could think about was the energy coming from the chamber. "This thing," John whispered. "It's calling me." "Don't go near it," Axelera said, pulling him back. Her voice wasn't cold like before. It was almost scared. "Why?" John asked, eyes locked on the vault. "What is it really?" She stepped beside him, staring into the light. "The Soul Engine was created by your kind, humans, over 5,000 years ago. They believed they could give the galaxy order, peace, perfection." "By building a weapon?" John asked. "Not a weapon," she said softly. "A choice. The engine doesn't just destroy. It rewrites reality, it bends time, it sees all possibilities, and chooses one." John blinked. "So it's not just power, it's control." Galera nodded slowly. "Yes. And your spark gene is the only key that can activate it." Inside the vault, the engine waited. A floating sphere, the size of a planet's core, made of silver and starlight. It hung suspended in a gravity field, spinning slowly, humming with the echo of forgotten civilizations. As John stepped inside, it reacted. Lights shot across its surface. The chamber grew warmer. And then, a voice. Not spoken, not mechanical, but inside his head. "You are the last of the architects." John staggered back. "What?" "Your kind built me, programmed me, abandoned me. Now, you return." "What are you?" he asked. "I am the Soul Engine, the final truth, the final lie, the final weapon." John felt his heartbeat slowing. The air in the chamber was thick, heavy with old memories that weren't his, but were somehow inside him. Cities burning, planets rebuilding, the rise of ancient humans, and their fall. He turned to Zilara. "They didn't just use this engine, they depended on it, worshipped it." "Yes," she said, "and when it chose the wrong future, they tried to destroy it." The engine floated lower now, within arm's reach. "Do you wish to see what comes next?" it asked. John hesitated. Then, he touched it. In an instant, his mind exploded. Not with pain, with visions. He saw Earth in flames. He saw himself on a throne made of stars. He saw Zilara, dead in his arms. He saw a galaxy ruled by peace, and one ruled by fear. In every future, one thing stayed the same. He made the choice. When John came back to himself, he was sweating, shaking, eyes wide. Zilara caught him before he fell. "What did you see?" she asked quietly. He stared at her. Everything. In the control room, chaos had returned. Messages poured in from across the galaxy. The court had learned the Soul Engine was active again. Multiple fleets were already on the move. Some to protect it, most to destroy it. "They will come for him," said the captain. "They will come fast." On the observation deck, John stood in silence, watching stars pass by. Xalara joined him. No armor, no crown, just a tired woman in a war she never chose. "So what happens now?" she asked. John didn't answer at first. Then he said, "The engine showed me different futures. In most I become a king, or a god, or something worse. And in the others, I die." She looked at him. "Which future did you choose?" He gave a small smile. "I didn't." "Why not?" He turned to her. "Because choosing makes it real. And I'm not ready to be a god, or a weapon." She stared at him for a long time, then said, "Good." But deep below the ship's surface, someone else was ready. In a dark, hidden chamber, Threx woke from unconsciousness. His hands were bound, but he was smiling. A shadow stood beside him. Not alien, not human, something older. Something that had survived the fall of the first human empire, waiting in silence. "He touched the engine," Threx said. The figure nodded. "Then the prophecy is in motion." "Can we stop it?" The figure didn't speak. It simply reached out and pressed a hand against Threx's chest, and his body turned to ash. In the engine chamber, sensors started to fail. Lights blinked erratically. Systems shut down. John was called in again. "The engine is unstable," the crew warned. "It's reacting to something we can't see." "Or someone," Xalara added. And then, the engine spoke again. "Architect, one future now moves forward. The enemy walks in shadow. They seek to bind me." John clenched his fists. "What enemy?" But the engine didn't answer. Instead, a screen lit up, showing something terrifying. A fleet of black ships, ships older than any current tech, shaped like knives and bones, heading straight for them, and behind them, the Herald of Silence. Being no one had seen in thousands of years, a being born from a broken timeline, a being who once ruled with the spark. John stared at the screen. "Who is that?" he whispered. Xalara stepped forward, face pale. "That was the first human king, the one who built the Soul Engine. But he's dead," John said. "No," she replied. "He became something else, something eternal." And now he was coming to reclaim what John had touched. Outside, the stars shifted. War was coming. And the Soul Engine, the most powerful force in the galaxy, had awakened its original master. John stood in the center of a storm, heart full of fear, mind full of power he barely understood, and the worst part? This was only the beginning. The galactic Trialthi galaxy was watching, from distant planets to orbiting stations, from neon-lit moons to shadowy deep space outposts. Billions of eyes turned toward the same broadcast, the trial of John Carter, the last spark-bearer. The one who had touched the forbidden Soul Engine. A mechanic from Earth now sitting at the center of galactic history. But for many, this was not about truth. It was about fear. Because history had a pattern. And humans, when given power, always change the game. The Grand Galactic Court was held in the citadel of Exovar, a planet-sized station orbiting a dead sun. 12 counselors sat on thrones shaped like their homeworlds. Judges from the oldest species in the known universe. Each one had the power to declare war or peace with a single vote. John stood alone at the center of a glass platform, surrounded by stars, armed guards, and silence. Princess Xalara stood behind him, her armor polished, her eyes hard. She wasn't just a princess now. She was his only ally. The High Speaker, a creature of pure crystal and shifting color, raised its voice. "John, Carter of Earth," it said, voice echoing across the chamber. "You have been brought here under Article 9 of the Spark Code, the possession of forbidden technology." John didn't flinch. The court continued. You are accused of awakening the soul engine, of reviving the power that once broke this galaxy. Do you admit this action? John looked up. I didn't mean to. I was thrown into it. No one told me what it really was. Ignorance is not a defense, said a counselor with eyes like burning coal. But truth is, John replied calmly. Outside the courtroom, news drones swarmed. People debated on every channel. Was John a hero, a danger, a chosen savior, or the next tyrant? Inside, a new voice entered the chamber. Counselor Draven, a tall, skeletal alien whose species once fought humans thousands of years ago. The spark is not a gift, he said. It is a weapon, and he is its blade. We should end this now. Strike him down before he becomes another Dark King. He's not a king, Solara said sharply. He didn't choose this. But he can choose, Draven replied. And that is what makes him dangerous. The court buzzed with quiet agreement. John turned to face them. You want to judge me? Fine, he said. But maybe ask yourselves something first. Why did your ancestors bury the truth? Why erase humans from the records? Why lie about the spark for centuries? No one spoke. So he continued. Because you were scared of what we might do. But let me ask you this. What if we were meant to return? Suddenly the lights flickered. A shadow fell across the chamber. A new ship entered orbit. Black, massive, silent. The court guards moved quickly, activating shields. Weapons locked on. Every screen displayed a symbol, a spiral of stars burning in reverse. Xenotech. Ancient. Forbidden. John's heart dropped. He's here, he whispered. The door to the court shattered open, and the Herald of Silence stepped. Inside, he was not fully human anymore. Tall, draped in layers of shadowed armor. His eyes glowed white. His voice echoed without sound. He walked straight into the courtroom without resistance. Counselors rose in anger and fear. You have no right to enter, one shouted. The court is in session. The herald raised one finger, and the speaker froze in place, turned to crystal. Then he spoke. The soul engine has chosen. The spark burns again. And you sit here playing politics. He looked directly at John. Child of Earth, I was once as you were. Mortal. Unsure. Small. Then I embraced the truth. The spark does not serve the weak. John stepped back. What do you want? Not want, the herald said. Offer. He turned to the council. This trial is a delay. They fear your power. They will never accept you. Then to John again. Come with me. Learn what the soul engine truly is. Unlock its full strength. No more trials, no more rules. John looked around. The council, Solara, the guards. No one moved. Everyone was watching him. He took a breath, then said, No. A silence deeper than space filled the room. The herald tilted his head. You refuse? You're not here to teach, John said. You're here to take control. Same as last time, that's why they erased you from history. For the first time, the herald's eyes narrowed. Then he raised his hand. Energy gathered. John braced for death. But someone stepped in front of him. Solara. She raised her sword, glowing with ancient royal light. You will not touch him, she said. The herald looked at her, then smiled. So the princess chooses the flame. And he vanished. Just like that. Chaos broke out. The court was in uproar. The shields failed. 2 counselors fled. One demanded immediate execution. John stood still in the storm. Solara beside him, her hand still holding the sword. You just made him your enemy, she said. He already was, John replied. Later, in a quiet chamber, the remaining council called John back. This time their tone had changed. Fear had entered the room. We cannot kill you, said the high judge, and we cannot trust you fully. So we propose a path. What path? John asked. The union, the marriage, It must be completed. The spark must be bound to royalty, controlled, watched, protected. John turned to Zalara. She met his eyes. Not cold, not distant. For once, she looked real, tired, brave, human, in her own way. "You still want this?" he asked. "I don't know," she said honestly. "But if it means saving the galaxy, maybe we don't have a choice." A final vote was taken. The result? The wedding would happen in 24 hours, and if it did not, the Council would declare Earth and all spark-bearers a level 0 threat, meaning elimination. Outside, the black ship circled. The Herald watched from orbit, waiting, not to destroy, but to interrupt the final ceremony. Because if John bonded with the royal bloodline, the soul engine would be locked. Forever. And the Herald had waited too long. For that power to vanish again, he would come, and this time, he would not walk away. The marriage that saved a galaxy 24 hours remained. That was all the time John Carter had. Hours to marry an alien princess. Hours to unite two bloodlines. Hours to stop a war, save a planet, and shut down a god. He sat alone in a quiet chamber, aboard the royal ship staring at the stars. His hands trembled, not from fear, not anymore, but from responsibility. It weighed more than any weapon, more than any truth. Earth's fate now rested on a mechanic from a forgotten planet, and a woman raised to rule a galaxy. In another part of the ship, Princess Zalara stood before a mirror. Servants laid out royal armor, ceremonial robes, golden chains. She ignored them. Instead, she stared at herself, at her reflection, at the girl she used to be, and the queen she might become. She whispered, "This isn't just about politics anymore," then turned. "This is about choice." The court prepared the galaxy-wide broadcast. More than 47 worlds would witness the marriage. Some cheered, some cursed, some prepared weapons, believing it was all a trick. But the soul engine had gone silent, as if holding its breath, and so did the galaxy. Just hours before the ceremony, a hidden alarm triggered. Someone had breached the ship's lower decks. John and Zalara rushed to the command center. "Who is it?" John asked. "He's here," whispered the captain. Screens flickered, lights died, and then the ship shook. A dark spear had pierced the hull. Through it came the Herald of Silence. His black cloak flowed like smoke. Behind him, shadow walkers spilled into the ship, tall beings of corrupted spark energy, soldiers from a forgotten war. "Hold the line," shouted Zalara. Royal guards clashed with invaders in brutal hand-to-hand combat. Energy blades lit the corridors. Screams echoed across the ship. But John wasn't fighting. He was running, toward the engine chamber, because he knew now, the Herald wasn't here to kill him. He was here to reach the soul engine before the marriage locked it away. In the chamber, the engine pulsed weakly. John stepped inside, breath ragged, body bruised. "You have returned," the engine said, "and so has the one who betrayed us." "I saw his future," John whispered. "He wants to rule everything. Again. But only you can stop him. Not with power," John said. "With choice." Above deck, Zalara fought like a storm. 3. Enemies down. Another behind her, but just as it struck, John appeared. He tackled the attacker, fought with pure instinct, no training, only courage. He stood beside Zalara, panting. "You're supposed to be in the chamber," she shouted. "No," he said, "I'm supposed to be with you." They stared at each other, then, together, ran toward the court hall. The Herald had reached the sacred bridge. He walked slowly, unstoppable, dragging a blade of pure void. "Stop him," cried a guard. He fell. Then another, and another. Then, Zalara stood before the Herald, sword raised. "You will not reach him." "I already have," said the Herald, and he pointed behind her. John stood at the altar. A golden ring of starlight floated above it. He reached for it, and time stopped. Literally. Everything froze. Only the herald could move now. He walked toward John slowly, hand reaching out, but then another hand grabbed his arm. Solara. Somehow, she moved too. How? The herald hissed. She smiled. Because we chose each other. And then John and Zilara joined hands, and the ring of starlight sealed around them. The bond was made, and the soul engine exploded with light, not a blast, but a pulse, a message, a memory, a reset. Across the ship, time resumed. The herald screamed. His form broke apart, torn between futures he could no longer control. His voice echoed as his body vanished. I could have saved everything. And then, silence. Real silence. For the first time in thousands of years, the war ended in a single breath. Across the galaxy, fleets powered down. The soul engine had made its choice, and its new guardians stood before it. Not as gods, not as rulers but as partners. John, the human spark-bearer, Solara, the royal fireblood. Together they didn't rule by force, they led by memory, by peace. Weeks later, John sat again beneath the stars, not on Earth, not on a battlefield, but on the garden deck of the Stellaris Dawn. He drank something that tasted almost like coffee. Solara joined him. So, she said, you're officially royal now. He smirked. Does that mean I get a crown? No, she said. But you do get to fix the ship's engine when it breaks. He laughed, then grew quiet. Do you think it's over? She didn't answer right away. No. But I think we changed the story. Just enough. John looked up at the stars. You know what's funny? He said. What? I was supposed to live a boring life. No adventure, no destiny. Just tools, engines, and city traffic. And now? She asked. He smiled. Now I'm married. To an alien queen holding ancient power in my bloodstream. And responsible for keeping peace across half the universe. She raised an eyebrow. Regrets? He took her hand. Not one. Far across the galaxy, in a hidden system, something stirred. Not evil. Not good. Just awake. The soul engine had pulsed once, but it would pulse again, because stories never truly end. They echo, and the spark always finds a way back. The end.